And then you talk about the future. This is a 100-year project, 100-year plus. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it on a path where it's going to become, ledgers in general, but Hedera specifically, is going to become part of every part of the planet. Every part of business and education and social and governance and entertainment, every part of it is going to be using this for part of it. And half the time, it's going to be invisible. The person won't even know they're doing it. Like electricity, you don't think about the electricity going to these lights.
Welcome back, ladies and gents, for another Hedera Hashgraph HBAR video. And we wanted to play that opening clip to really help people understand the vision of the role that Hedera Hashgraph HBAR is going to play in the world that we're moving towards. And of course, that was delivered by the founder, Dr. Lehman Bird. We're going to be hearing from him when we play the second clip that we have for you today. I think it was a talk that he gave at Harvard back in 2017, where he actually talks about some use cases for this distributed ledger. He gave a great talk. We'll leave a full link to it in the description, where he talks about the evolutions of blockchain, starting with Bitcoin and, of course, getting to Hedera, which is very much a fourth generation blockchain, and how it's taken the initial concepts that this industry bought, and just like with all technologies, evolved them and made them far more useful and kind of implementable in the real world. And through doing that is fundamentally changing many, many different industries out there that actually make the world go round. And this is why Hedera Hashgraph is going to be such a monumental project. This is going to be quite a fundamental video on the project itself. We've done lots of videos and we will recap on them briefly, talking about the price. Price very much just going exactly in the direction we want it to. Of course, this is Hedera Hashgraph versus the dollar, or Tether in this case. Look at this run, ladies and gentlemen. I think HBAR is something like 700% up. That's a journey I can honestly say I'm proud to have taken myself, my entire community, and you guys on. We are absolutely nothing short. 700% today from its low at 1.830% up in a month. This is just the start, ladies and gentlemen. And this is just the start because of the reasons that we're talking about fundamentally here. Utility takes a while to get realized. And that's why all these gatekeepers are now caught on the sidelines, because they've been pumping what they can to the masses in a low liquid environment. But now that liquidity is starting to come back, the ones that are shining are the ones with utility, those dino coins. We've spoken about how we actually have targets to round about, it was 94 cents, which would take it to all-time highs. You're literally on the cusp of it, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't think it's going to take long to get there. And we also spoke about the market cap and how that aligns with where we think the price is going. And we think there's going to be a market cap around about $47 billion. That is going to come to fruition. We spoke about our sort of phase analysis, how this was phase one. You've now broken out into phase two on volume, as you always would. There's technical patterns there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We've spoken about the price. We're going to continue to update you on the journey. But I just wanted to touch it. This is really going to be more of a fundamental video. And the second video that we have for you, even though it's perhaps a little bit more technical and slow, and we'll speed it up, it really puts into perspective the scope of this distributed ledger. I've just got off the back end of filming another interview that I'm going to be releasing for you guys with Brandon, the HBAR Bull. We're doing a lot more regular shows together, and we're likely going to continue to keep that up. Within an hour, anybody that's new to Hedera Hashgraph, after watching that interview, is going to go, wait, there's no way all of this is happening on this one distributed ledger in all of these different areas. It is truly remarkable, and this is why we've always backed Hedera Hashgraph, what HBAR is doing and how it's doing it. It is seen the transformative nature of this technology and essentially embraced it, covered the price. Let's now dive into the second clip that we have for you, which is Dr. Lehman Bird talking, I think it was at Harvard back in 2017, about some of the capabilities, what you can do with this distributed ledger. And actually really what you understand from his talk is just the scope of it, just what this is going to affect. There was rumors circulating that weren't true, by the way, about Hedera facilitating an e-government or a digital identity and all of this sort of stuff. But actually the idea of governments using a distributed ledger, it might not be Hedera, for credentials is a very viable and real one. And we're going to listen now to Lehman talk about that. Not just that use case, but multiple that are actually, they make up the kind of building blocks of the societies that we now have. Let's dive into that clip.
But people said, you know what? this Bitcoin thing was really cool. It's doing a cryptocurrency. In order to do the cryptocurrency, it has to remember all these transactions. It has this ledger that remembers them all. It's this blockchain that remembers them all. But wait a second, it's a computer. It's just ones and zeros. We don't have to limit ourselves to just remembering things about coins. We could put other stuff in that ledger, and it would be just as good. It'd be just as trustworthy. And so we got the second generation of DLTs, which was, well, let's not just have a money. Let's have a file system in some sense. Kind of expensive, so little tiny files. But the important thing is that nobody can change it when they shouldn't. And if I think there's a piece of information there and you look at it, you are guaranteed to see the same thing. We have a shared view of what's going on. Everybody knows that everybody knows about it. The rules are enforced by the entire community. No one person could delete things. No one person could add things by themselves in an illegal way. This is a powerful concept. And so the second generation of DLTs was saying we can go beyond money. We can go beyond cryptocurrencies. We can store information in these things. You could store ownership of something like land. Why is it important to put a deed, or at least a hash of a deed, into a ledger like this? Because if I try to sell my property to two different people, I could hand them each a Xerox of the deed, but when you try to buy it from one of them, you want to make sure that no one else has it. You want to do a check on who owns it. But if you have a ledger, you just look in the ledger and you're guaranteed to see the same thing everyone else sees. So you're guaranteed that the whole world is seeing who owns this land right now. We're all seeing the same picture. That's a powerful concept, very powerful. And you could do other assets, not just land, but any kind of asset. You could have digital assets in this ledger. And you have this guaranteed shared view. If you can do that, you can do revocation. For example, maybe the DMV issues me a driver's license. I could put my driver's license in the ledger. And maybe that's not good for privacy. I could put a hash of my driver's license in the ledger. That's a scrambled version of it that you can't understand. What good would that do? It would do a lot of good if it allows the DMV to revoke it. Because if I go to you and I want to convince you that I have a driver's license, it's not good enough for me to just show you some file signed by the DMV that says I had a driver's license. Because maybe I got into some accidents and they pulled my driver's license. Maybe they revoked it. They canceled it. So we want to be able to do revocation. We want the DMV to be able to revoke my driver's license. So what you could do is have a ledger where the DMV has the rights to delete your driver's license, but nobody else does. Or maybe the DMV has the right and you have the right, but no one else has the right to delete your driver's license. Then when you want to prove to someone you have the driver's license, you give them the file, they look at the hash, and they look in the ledger, and they see if it's still there, and if it's still there, they know you still have a valid driver's license. So we can do revocation. You can do audit logs. Stick information in there that some government agency wants to look at, or that some accountant wants to look at it, and have a guarantee that it hasn't changed over time. And we can do stuff with identity and your attributes, and we can do metadata for things like medical applications. All of these things with the second generation, and there's a lot of interest right now, it's still embryonic, of how to use ledgers. But that's just the second generation. Then we had the third generation, which was, well, if I'm going to be able to store my land in the ledger, and you're able to store your money in the ledger, maybe we could do a swap. Maybe I could give you my land in exchange for your money. Now, we could just email it, but here's the problem. You email me your money, and then you never hear from me again because I run off and I don't give you the land. Or I email you the land, but you never send me the money. That would be bad. So what you do is you have a trusted third party. We both give our thing to the trusted third party, then they swap it and give it back to us. But with a smart contract, you can actually have a computer program being run by the entire community, and they can all agree on whether or not the swap happens. And you can prevent cheating. An incredibly powerful idea. Let's have little programs that are running. So you can do sales like I just talked about. You can do agreements with non-repudiation. If you and I want to sign a contract, I can make sure that I sign it and that you sign it and we both get both signatures, and I can eliminate the possibility that I signed it, handed you my signature, and then you just put it in your pocket and kept it. And then a year from now you could lie and say, yeah, I signed it too, and enforce it. Or a year from now you could lie and say, I never saw it, and not enforce it. That would be bad. With smart contracts, you can prevent that. There's lots of things you can do, including distributed applications, DAOs, distributed organizations, all sorts of cool things. So those are the three generations we started with. First, let's put some money in our ledgers. Well, if we're going to do that, let's put other information like assets in our ledgers. Well, if we're going to have money and assets, then let us be able to trade them with each other and do smart contracts. But if we can do that, that raises the question, should we do a fourth generation? If we have money and we have assets and we're able to swap money for assets with sales, then how do we get matched up? We need markets. We need some way that the sellers and the buyers can get matched up with each other, and so they can do the buying and selling. And so with the markets, we can complete it. This does everything then, but you have to have fairness. We need to know that we're going to have fairness in how we match them up. If you have the fairness, then you can have markets. I'm calling that the fourth generation, but it's more than just what you would think of as markets. It includes things like video games. We need fairness in a video game. In some MMO, if you pick up an object and I pick up the object at the same time, we need to make sure that I can't cheat and make it seem like I picked it up first when really you picked it up first. This is the goal here, is we want to be able to not have people cheat and influence what the order that we agree on is going to be. But if you have that, you can do games, you can do stock markets. I don't really think we're going to do the New York Stock Exchange this way, but you can also do dark pools, which are like little tiny stock markets run by a small number of banks. There it is absolutely a useful thing. because they don't really trust each other individually, but they would trust that a big group of each other wouldn't do something bad. It's the perfect situation. You can do games, you could do auctions, you could do something like an eBay or an Amazon, you could do something where first to file matters. You could set up a patent office, you could set up an office selling domain names, anything like that where it matters who was there first.
So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope I didn't speed it up too much. That's really it from me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to love and leave you all on that note. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.